not trying to downplay the other fights at all and other content within the arc. We got a lot of stuff that was obviously very important. A lot of the Yozakura family got to have their show-offs with their blooming powers and whatnot, their own cool fights. We got all the stuff about like the artificial Yozakura powers, between like how Kawashita made it the side of the people who were modified. We got like stuff about like the first head, about Kawashita himself. There was a lot of obviously really important stuff that we got in this chapter, but within this arc. But my favorite thing definitely about this arc was the meeting between Bon and Momo, just because that to me at least was just like a sudden hype thing in general. Like I didn't think this interaction was gonna happen. I legitimately actually forgot about Bon's involvement in anything. So I know he helped train Tayo beforehand, but I don't know. I didn't really think about him or Momo about, while they were in this arc. I think it's just because they didn't really have any moments up until now, which is still pretty cool. I don't really like that. But like sudden meetings like this between characters who are way higher up on the food chain is always just super hype, and it gives obviously big moments about like the general story and content that get teased or revealed. And these two, like, again, they have huge positions like within the hierarchy of things, but on top of that, they are very important like within the within like the cast of characters and stuff. You have, the Yozakura father, and then the grandfather, essentially. I mean, no, really, I mean, that's what it is, not even essentially. But this fight was very brief, but it was pretty epic. Like, the funny thing is that the series, like, they started out for the most part with characters who were just kind of like had enhanced abilities and skills, and you had Kyoichiro with his steel spider ability, and when using that whole thing, like, they didn't have a whole lot with like crazy powers. And then they start, when they got the blooming, they started to kind of really expand upon abilities and stuff. Like, that's when, like, skills and techniques started to get more, like, battle shonen. This was, like, a big battle shonen moment. Like, they're talking, they're having a moments, and Bon is even he's acknowledging that in the suitcase that Momo has is the heart of Rei, obviously the daughter of his. So, not the most nice thing that's gonna go down between their interactions, but I was very curious of when I saw him. I didn't really think too much through how things were going with him, but it's like he didn't play at all during this whole arc. And after seeing this chapter, I feel like if he did decide to get in, he would have mopped the floor with everybody in there. He would have completely bodied everybody involved, because like this shot like was huge. It was, I legitimately don't think there's any attack that I can remember off the top of my head, obviously talking about power levels and stuff, that comes even close to this within the series. You have Bon like to kind of do like a little fake out, and he's like, when he's trying to get like the heart back, and Momo's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. It belongs to me and my wife. And I like the general idea behind the two of them of doing these things, because it's like this guy, it is Bon's daughter, but Momo was her husband, so obviously like tied together. Like it in a way, it's like he's more in the like he is more set and entitled essentially in quote unquote to her heart, considering they're married. But he's like, okay, I figure that's true, whatever. And then he's like, yeah, no, I'm just kidding on that one. Pulls out his gun and shoots. I need to go back and look to see if he has like anything special about his gun, because I know his blooming power was like, wasn't it his ability to like flatten his body or like fit into any crevice or something? I gotta go back, but he shoots and you see the bullet kind of approaching, and Momo just no difficulty is able to react to the bullet, puts his hand up, and then blocks the shot. And he mentions after the attack that he wasn't able to fully absorb the power of the attack, but you still see the attack behind him, like obviously make this huge gouge right out the side of this cliff. Just completely puts like this crater through it, and then also makes a shockwave that kind of keeps going out, probably for, it looks like a couple of miles out in the ocean. And there's a point when they said like, the sea is parting. I was like, man, if that was the case, if you could have seen the ocean floor, like, from this split, we didn't, but I mean, like, if that was the case, it would be such a crazier jump in power levels. Either way, it was pretty cool. I thought that was just a really hype moment as, like, this arc was ending. And he gave a name for his ability, so it was, like, the White Daphne, and it looks like he actually had, like, flower petals and leaves form his hand, so I'm very, very curious as to how that is going to move. I wonder if it has anything to do with kind of like how Kawashita and stuff, like, as his power progressed, he was actually getting, like, a form of flower or plant coming out of his body, kind of like how the first head has, like, on her, you know, on her body, she had, like, the flowers on one side, but he also, after that, like, just vanished, which was very strange. Again, the series didn't start out like it had, like, powers and stuff. It got revealed that people have abilities and whatnot, but I don't even know how this one would work, just based off of, like, this is something that you would see in, like, something where a character can straight turn into an element or teleport or something. So him being able to do this, like, is an illusion-based thing. Did he break through, like, general powers, like, within the world to, like, a higher state where he essentially has, like, a full, like, superpower, not just, like a ability to manipulate something or kind of like a lower skill, but it's just, like, an outright borderline, like, set of magic that his powers have such extensive reach. But after that, we got, like, a wrap-up of, you know, oh yeah, we got a lot of the dudes in custody that were there. Kawashita's taken care of. You know, he's locked up. I'm wondering how long he's going to be locked up, if they're going to be able to break him out. Like I said, I do like Kawashita. I think he's cool, and I'm hoping that he can be a longer-lasting villain, and it's not just he's locked up. Maybe we'll get some, like, Hannibal Lecter stuff with him soon. But it's all being written in this letter from Mutsumi himself, who afterwards just goes back to, like, seeing what other people are doing. Like, okay, you know, we see everybody just doing their own thing throughout the day. And that goes with the end of the chapter when they're saying that they're just going back to kind of, like, living their normal style of life. But I don't know, something about that, like, the way that it's ended, I'm like, okay, you know, that was just a kind of, like, a comfortable ending to this arc, you know, before getting to the next stuff. But I did really like the interaction before that of Mutsumi and Taiyo. Like, she's going out because she's going to go take care of her mother's grave, and Taiyo's already there, like, picking out weeds and stuff, and she's ready to sneak up on him and mess with them, but he already saw she was there. And it just gave one, like, it showed a funny part for her character, but obviously, like, showing that she was still in a good state of mind, and that she's, you know, doing well after all this. How she also, like, wanted to mess with Taiyo. I thought that was pretty funny. But Taiyo also, obviously, knowing she's there because he's been training her spy stuff, like, all of his spy work obviously has been in the work. So her sneaking up on him wasn't really going to do anything. But I did think this was a pretty solid arc. I thought this was pretty good. And the series, like, the last two arcs, I think have been really good. Like, on the train and stuff was pretty fun. The series so far has been picking up pretty well. Like, I mentioned before, like the first two chapters, I was like, whatever, I don't know if this is for me. Left it alone, eventually came back, was enjoying it, and then I think just these last two arcs have really set a good tone for the series, and have shown that obviously, like, its story and plot is more than just, it's going to be jokes with spies and stuff. Because that was, to me, at the start, what I thought it was going to be, like, more like a gag series, but I think it was just after the point of, like, where the series was set to survive, make it past the acts, that a lot of the more actual story-written content was going to come out. And, you know, that's obviously, you know, a big plus for a series that ended up surviving. So, happy about that. Happy where things are going. And I really want to know what, like, the status of Kawashita is going to be and where the next bad guy is going to come from, if it's not him or Momo. Because I would be willing to guess if Kawashita's not, like, a way longer end series kind of bad guy, it's got to be Momo then. Because obviously the father of them, who is a bad guy, is, like, a very, very important piece of the plot that they're going to eventually have to address and really deal with. But yeah, other than that, though, tell me your thoughts about, like, the series so far in general, because obviously this is the end of the second real arc, but, like, I'd say the first real big arc, considering all the characters that were involved and stuff, and then obviously the lore stuff we got. But other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.